Welcome everyone to this help video about using Postman to access the digital traffic regulation orders service. I'm here in Postman, which is at postman.co. I'm going to assume that people know how to access that and create an account. I'm also going to assume in the video that you've been on our portal already and created a D-TRO account, and that you're also created an application. We're going to go to a setup collection for the production environment. It doesn't matter whether you're set up as a consumer or a publisher in production, but the collection is the same for both. So I'm going to move from Postman into the workspace that we've got. You might want to set up your own workspace. You may be working with different APIs, so you might want to have a separate workspace for each API that you've got. And we're going to import a collection. Now, the collections are stored on our D-TRO portal. I'm going to use this button here, import, but just to show you where to find the collection, I'm going to go over to Google just to demonstrate that you don't even really need to have remembered the exact address to where all our documents are stored. You can search for digital traffic regulation orders, and the first result should be the gov.uk portal page. This is a start page for a service, and it contains information about how you access it, but also contains a lot of information about the documentation behind the API. So here we're now on the D-TRO portal, and we need to go into the API documentation section. This is the documentation section, and I'm going to go direct into via the jump link here into API documentation. Now it's showing us that here you can download Postman collections. We've got a separate one for integration and a separate one for production. This is because the addresses are different for each. So clicking on download Postman production, I'm going to tell it to download that to my D-TRO download folder. And now we're going to switch back to the Postman itself and go back to this import button that I showed you earlier. Select a file from the browser and click on the file and open it. Now, I've already got this one in, and I'll tell you about that in a moment, but if you haven't got one already, it will just say, do you want to add it? And you say yes. I'm going to say import as a copy. And you'll see here that has come in here as D-TRO production copy. Now, the reason I said copy and not replace is that now you would have to configure your instance of this collection to be for your specific API key and secret. And now these are secret by nature, long strings that no one else is supposed to know. So I'm just going to show you where you go to add this information, and then that means you're then able to set up. And then we can skip over to one that I made earlier, so I don't have to disclose our login information. So the key bit here is in the header of the collection, the variables section. Now you'll see that it's got the URL, which is the production environment URL for the where the API is looking, and then API key and API secret. And there's helpful little prompts here for key and secret. You'll see there's also one for access token, but you can only get an access token once you've got your API key and secret. So the key here is to, once you've imported this collection, to copy over your key and secret from your account details and paste them in here. Switching over to the one I have made earlier, which is set up for DFT to access the API. And then you would be able to be in this position once you've configured yours. You go to the get auth token and click send. This runs through and generates the token, and the tokens are valid for 30 minutes. And there is there's a security reason for that. And if you need to get a new one, but you're working on 30 minutes later, you just need to go refresh the token, copy it in it again. Now, in the once you've got this token, you would take it back to your area here where the variables are, where it's blank, and insert the token in for this session alongside the API key and the secret that you've already done.